Hey guys, it's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. I just got finished watching a movie called The Comedy. Didn't quite know what to expect from that title. I knew that Tim Heidecker from Tim and Eric was in it because his face is plastered on the cover of the film. It popped up this morning on Tubi while I was doing my push-ups, and I threw the movie on. I do like the Tim and Eric show. I like that weird, goofy, over-the-top, silly, awkward humor. Um, Not a huge fan of Tim and Eric outside of the shows, but some of the stuff they do is interesting. Their movie was pretty funny. So I threw it on, not really knowing what to expect. I guess the title of the movie, the comedy, is kind of like the joke's on you, because the guy in the movie's life is sort of good, but sort of terrible in a way. Um, Kind of like the divine, I guess the divine comedy, like everyone's laughing at you, but everything's terrible for you. So the main character and all of his friends are pretty much hipster douches. That's sort of the nicest way for me to say it. And his dad is dying, and he's making jokes at the nurse who is taking care of his dad about being a male nurse. He's making jokes at the nurse about the nurse cleaning out the dad's fecal matter after he uses the bathroom, and that afterwards, on his ride home, does he bite his nails in the car and then get fecal matter in his teeth because he's got it in his nails from cleaning out from helping clean his dad and doesn't wash his hands fully. The humor is sort of humor, but it's also sort of just like mean jokes at people's expenses. It's hard to explain. There's this like awkward slash mean humor throughout the whole film. I didn't find any of it very funny. I didn't laugh or chuckle or have any kind of real response to it. Um, and the movie is sort of about nothing. That's the other problem I found with the film is the focus is he's this like aging hipster with a lot of money, never worked a day in his life it seems, gets a job near the end of the film as like a dishwasher at a diner. He's awkward. He says weird shit to people. Then at one point, he brings a girl back to his boat because he owns a boat because he has money and sort of doesn't like know what to do with his life, but he's very um, unrelatable. I feel like he's such a kind of not a bad person necessarily, but a empathetic, apathetic person that he comes off as being cold and sort of bad in that way. He brings this girl back to his boat, and she has what I guess is a seizure, and he just sits there nonchalantly drinking and watching her seize, doesn't hold her hand or say, try to talk to her, even though I know usually they can't hear you. Um, he's just not comforting her or there for her. He just doesn't give a crap. It almost seems like it bothers him that he didn't get to sleep with her because she's seizing. And he's like that throughout the whole film. He says things that are off color. Um, he treats people fairly poorly. He takes a cab ride at one point, and I guess he starts like having a self reflection, and he's like, maybe I'll do this, maybe I'll drive a cab, and he pays the cab driver $400 to drive his cab for 20 minutes, and the guy reluctantly lets him, and he's driving around New York City, and he just starts yelling out the window to some Asian woman, and he's like, hey, how much? And she's like, you think I'm a prostitute? And he starts fighting with her, and then he like runs off. So he like sort of gets himself in these weird, awkward situations and just doesn't give a crap because he has money, so he can just do what he wants and doesn't really have to work. And then he just like ejects himself from the situations. Nothing about it was really funny. Um, Eric Warheimer from Tim and Eric is also in it. He wasn't funny. All the characters were sort of unlikable. Um, I guess if you like that dry, sort of weird, pretentious humor, you might like it. But I found the movie to be borderline unbearable. It was so boring and nothing happened. It's almost like a Seinfeld episode, except that they used to put in jokes. Nothing happened. He's walking around, he's riding his bike, he's swimming at the beach, he has no cares. Oh, now he's a dishwasher. and he's just so unlikable that that's about it. I can't even say like, oh, anything really stands out because besides him kind of going from point A to point B and then making a stupid joke, nothing really happened. It was sort of like a waste of an hour and a half, to be honest. So would I recommend the comedy? No. Would I recommend it if you are a Tim and Eric fan? I guess if you want to see them branch out to something other than like straight goofy comedy, maybe. But even then, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not a good film. Uh, well, sorry. There is nothing redeeming about it. So, sorry to be so down, guys. Thanks, guys, for watching. It's Vampire Mike from Sega CD Universe. Be good.